There are 3 reasons to use an apostrophe. Do you know what they are? If you don't know how to use an apostrophe for a contraction, to show possession, and what you're supposed to do when there's a plural word, and you're like, how does an apostrophe fit in? How am I supposed to? How am I not supposed to use this? Well, then you're going to want to stick around for this explanation because we're going to walk you through so that way the next time your teen has a paper to write, maybe your child's taking the ACT, SAT soon, and you're like, how am I supposed to use this apostrophe? You're going to have the answers that you need. So thank you so much for being here. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. Be sure to hit that follow button. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. So contractions here. If you are wondering what is the contraction, you're kind of like, what does that have to do with grammar? Well, contraction are words like don't or isn't. Basically, all we're doing, we're taking 2 words, mushing them together. So we're shortening them, losing some letters, putting an apostrophe in there. So that is a contraction. Okay. Now you could easily look up contractions. You'll see a whole long list of those. So definitely do know that's a whole thing in and of itself, is knowing what does this contraction like really stand for? Like what is it supposed to be really broken down to? Because it can get a little tricky, like there's things that can be multiple meanings and it's the same contraction. So if you've got questions about that, happy to answer those. But I would tell you, mamas, as you are listening to this and you're wondering, okay, my child has this paper to write and it's formal, it's like an essay, a research paper. Please, please, please do not let your child put contractions in that formal paper. All right. I cannot tell you how many points that I've seen my students lose for using contractions in papers. Okay. So that is one reason, very good reason to use an apostrophe, is when we are going more informal, we are combining 2 words. Okay. And I can also tell you, there's a whole thing with its, right? ITS and IT apostrophe S. If you've got questions about that, we can talk about that as well. Just know that ITS apostrophe, that's going to sneak up on the ACT, SAT, and it's not a thing. Okay, so encourage your son, your daughter who's in high school to be on the lookout for that. Okay, we do not want to fall for that trap. Okay, it's one of the many problems I see, many of the things students do wrong when it comes to apostrophes. Okay, so now let's talk about possessives. Let's talk about the plural thing, because this is where it can get a little murky. And if you have specific questions that I haven't addressed yet, or you're like, Jessyka, I need this other grammar help, let me know down below. And do know another awesome way for us to work together, for us to really talk about grammar and English and even study skills and loving to learn, is through a consultation. Okay, because what we're sharing here is information I want your team to know. Do remember to know how to use, and that all comes down to, does your team know how to personalize his or her own learning? And if your child doesn't know how to study, which is process of learning, then you've got to schedule a consultation. It's totally free because I want your team to know how to learn everything, anything, including these apostrophe rules. All right, let's get back to this. So possessives. So this basically means something belongs to something. All right, like something, someone. So basically, your daughter's backpack, right? The children's whatever. Okay. Now it can get a little tricky here because we have to try to decide how many things people are being owned and then how many are owning, right? So like if it's children, okay, well, that's a variation than just me, Jessyka, Jesse's, Jessica's, right? Or your, okay, that's a whole lot of different rules, whole lot of kind of mess that can happen when we're trying to show possession. So we have to decide, is it apostrophe S, is it S apostrophe? That's a whole situation. Just know that if something is not being possessed, then you do not want an apostrophe. That's the biggest mistake I see happen when it comes to apostrophe rules, is we put that apostrophe on there just because there's an S. Okay, so please, 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 mamas, ask yourself the next time you're writing an email, the next time you're helping your child with a paper, hey, okay, is there a possessive? Is there something being owned? Because if there's not, and it's just a plural, we do not want an apostrophe. Okay. So when we're talking plurals, and remember, this is very different. So it's not belonging to anybody, to a person, to a noun, essentially, right? Person, place, thing, or idea. We want to then do a plural, which generally means we see an S at the end, or maybe an ES. Okay, and this can get tricky too, because we've got all of those irregulars, right? All those kind of special situations where sometimes it's IES, or maybe, like I said, children earlier. So that goes from child to children, which isn't just an S, right? It's not just an ES either. So that's a whole video that we could definitely talk about as well. The main point that I want to get across today was there's 3 situations that we feel like we need to use apostrophes that our teens probably are being exposed to every day, and we want to make sure we can set them straight so they are ready to get that best grade possible on that next paper, so your child knows what the expectations are. Wow, that the expectations are, what the grammar expectations, like knowledge, like the conventions, the punctuation that your kiddo needs for the ACT, for the SAT, pretty much any type of like grammar kind of, punctuation, all that kind of stuff for a standardized test. So definitely look out for contractions, look out for possession. Do not use apostrophes when something is merely plural. So that's the simplest question. Is this owning something? Is something owning this? And if the answer is there's no possession, no owning going on, we do not want to see an apostrophe just because there's an S. So thank you so much for watching. I look forward to talking to you soon, mamas. Be sure to go to that link in the description to schedule a free consultation. We've talked all about apostrophes, all about the rules, all about hopefully some explanation of how they work. But there's so much more that I could teach your teen. And remember, study skills are life skills. So if your teen is struggling in one class, it's not because that content's hard, not because something like today he can't write, not because she's not good at grammar. It's just literally, do we know how to learn through study skills? So thanks so much. Have an awesome day. Remember, schedule a free consultation so you, your teen, and myself can talk about study skills, about how to help your teen personalize his or her learning so your child can love to learn. Have a great day, mamas. Talk to you soon.